Do you struggle with ideas and inspiration for what to cook each week? Do you walk into your kitchen before meal times and just think, oh, I just don't know what to cook today, or I haven't got meat out of the freezer in time? Well then, this is the video for you. Hello, I'm Rainey. Welcome to my channel. I am a busy mum of two small toddlers who are close in age, and as I'm sure you can imagine, my weeks are pretty hectic. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how I meal plan to make my weeks as stress-free as I possibly can. And if you're new to my channel, then welcome. It's really great to have you here today, and I hope that you'll consider subscribing. And if you're already a subscriber, then don't forget to click that little bell button and you'll get notified every time I post a new video. But without further ado, let's start this video. Now, the first thing I do is to check our family calendar to see if there are any evenings when myself or my husband might be out for the evening. As you'll see, I was out with our church's youth group on that Friday, and this will obviously affect what I'm planning to cook for that evening. I will then sit down either at the computer, or I'll sometimes do it on my smartphone and have a little look at the BBC Good Food website. That's my favourite website for meal planning, and I've got my own account on there with them, and I will go through the recipes and save my favourites into collections. And I have one collection which I've called Still to Try, and so yeah, I just save everything in there that I like the look of but I haven't had a chance to have a go at yet, and then I'll have a look through and think if there's anything in there I want to try that week. And then once I've selected what recipes I want to use, I will print them off. Once I've selected the recipes that I'm going to try, I will then go through all the recipes that we've tried before to see if there's anything that I fancy making, anything that I know the kids really enjoy or that my husband really enjoys, and also anything that we've not done in a while. I'll pick a few of those recipes too. I don't really have any rules for this. I just like to try and make sure that I've got a couple of fish recipes, a couple of meat recipes, and then a couple of veggie recipes too. And for an evening when either myself or my husband are out, I will make sure that the recipe I made the day before is a recipe that will feed plenty so that we have some leftovers. Next, I'll go through our kitchen cupboards to see what we've already got in the house, what needs using up, that kind of thing, just to see what things we have that I can use in the recipes already, and then I'll have a better idea of what things I'll need to buy. This is also a good time to go through the fridge and see what things are in date, what things need to be thrown out, and what veggies need using up, and all that kind of thing too. And then lastly, I'll go through our freezers. We've got two of them to see what we have in, what needs using. I tend to use a fair amount of frozen veg, so I like to check the amounts of those that we have too. And then in our outside freezer is where I keep all of our meats, so I like to have a little check through there to see what we've got already, what I need to get in. So yes, I like to check on our stock levels for those. Next, it's time to make my shopping list, so I will go back to the recipes that I've set aside. Obviously I'm showing the computer version here, but I'll usually use the printed version, and I'll check the ingredients. And then using the app, the Family Organizer app that I've spoken about before in some of my previous videos, I will go through the pre-populated shopping list that I have on there already and pick out the foods that I need to buy again for that recipe. Lastly, I will go to our meal planning chalkboard and wipe off the previous week's recipes and write up the new week's recipes so that Everybody knows what we're having each day, and for me, when I'm in the kitchen, it's just a quick glance to see what I'm making for that day. It also helps me because I will check that chalkboard the night before to get out whatever meat I might need to get out of the freezer, or if I need to get it out a couple of days ahead, then I can see at a glance what I need to do. And so here you can see our menu plan for this week, and I'm sure you can see the varied choice of recipes that we tend to go for. Now, there are a couple of other things that I wanted to mention in relation to meal planning for toddlers. And number one is that Lily and Josiah eat what we eat. I have been giving Lily and Josiah the same things that we eat pretty much from the time that they started weaning. Obviously in the very early stages you start with your pureed carrot or your sweet potato and things like that, but as soon as they were able to tolerate that a bit more, I literally started giving them things that we eat. I just thought it was really important that they learned quite early on to experience lots of different flavours, lots of different textures, and so far it has worked really well for us as a family. So I'm not saying that this will necessarily work for everyone, but it has definitely worked for us in terms of having two children who pretty much eat whatever's put in front of them. So when I'm meal planning, I keep them in mind because there's probably a couple of meals that I wouldn't do. Like, I'm careful about cooking with wine for the kids, and sometimes we've got a few meals that have like antipasti type things in, and well, I know that when I was a kid, if my mum had put a sun-dried tomato in front of me and asked me to eat it, I would have balked at that. So obviously within reason, we expect them to eat what we eat, and that's not to say they don't get like the odd fish fingers and chips or, you know, chicken nuggets and things like that. We do those sometimes. However, with regards to meal planning, of course, it just means then that I'm only having to think about preparing 7 meals in a week, not 7 meals for adults, 7 meals for the children. So yeah, anything I can do to make my life easier, that's the way that I'm going to go. And then my second tip, which leads really nicely on from the first tip, is that we are pretty strict with Lily and Josiah's meal times now. We didn't used to be, and if you've seen my routine videos, you will know why, and you will also know why we had to change that. And if you haven't seen them, well, you can see them hopefully in the I button here. So yeah, implementing strict meal times has just meant that Lily and Josiah are so much hungrier at meal times, and those battles that we used to have that were related to tiredness or them not being hungry enough, they've just completely reduced right down. And so we have breakfast somewhere between 8 to 8:30, we have lunch between 12 and 1, and then we normally have tea sometime between 4:30 and 5:30. I try to aim more for 4:30 than 5:30. 5:30 tends to be a little bit too late because we're headed off to bed for 6:30. So that has worked really, really well, and it's just like with all of us really, we are creatures of habit and routine. So what I'm finding now is that Lily will sometimes sit herself in her booster chair ready for lunch or ready for tea because she's hungry and she knows it's about to come. So that's really cool. Obviously it doesn't always happen like that, and sometimes it can be a bit of a battle to get the children to the dinner table because they don't want to stop what they're doing, but for the most part they eat, and that's just been such a success story for us. And I also have made sure that snacks for the most part are on a strict routine as well. So we do 10:30 and 2:30, or that's what we aim for. Probably a little bit more grace with that than with the main meal times because it will depend what we're doing that day, but I try to make sure that that's when they have the snacks. But they love fruit, so I massively encourage fruit. Any kind of fruit that you put in front of them, pretty much they will eat. And Lily loves satsumas, so I really encourage that. She can have plenty of those if she wants. And the other thing to say is that if Lily and Josiah don't like a meal, I won't make them eat it, and I will make them something else. I just think to myself, do you know what, if someone put something in front of me that I really don't like and then made me eat it, well, that just wouldn't be a good experience for me. I'd be really upset. And so I don't want that for Lily and Josiah. I want them to try foods, find out what they like. And if they don't like something, that's okay. It might be that they grow into that as they get older. And yeah, so I just thought I would share those 2 tips with you because they have really helped us with meal planning. And so hopefully they might help some of you guys. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it useful. As always, I would love to hear your views, so let me know what you thought in the comments below. And if you have any other tips for how you would meal plan or things that you've just found invaluable for how you manage meals with little ones, then also comment those below because I think those would be so useful. Don't forget, if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!